Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. First things first, thanks for everyone who's following me on Instagram at Laquanda and also on Facebook, Laquanda as well. So let's go ahead and get into it tonight. I wanted to talk about when you feel disappointed. So I always like to incorporate my personal life in the videos that I have. And you also have to forgive me because my camera is separated from my computer, so there's different screens going on here. But the for me, a disappointment has a different impact, or well, not, I don't want to say a different impact, but it impacts me a lot. Something can happen and I can become disappointed and it can trigger like mood swings. It can trigger irritability for me. Um, it can really put me in a funk for that day, 24, 48 hours, sometimes where I don't even want to get out of bed. Um, you know, and that is something that I have to be mindful of because one, I manage bipolar disorder. And so when certain things happen, it is important for me to get on top of it and develop a plan to work through it. And so a lot of the things that I share with you all aren't just things that I know as a mental health professional, but they are things that I know because I use them in my everyday life. Um, Recent disappointment that I experienced is that I'm on a fitness journey and I have been working with a personal trainer, trying to get my body under control. And when I say my body under control, my face, I gain weight in two places, my face and my abdomen, my stomach. And my stomach actually protrudes to the point to where I look like I am pregnant. And it's really frustrating. A lot of that, the biggest thing from that, uh, my dog would bark. The biggest thing from that is, you know, because I manage bipolar disorder, there are certain medications, particular medication that works really well for me. However, one of the side effects is a lot of weight gain. And since I started this particular medication, I've put on about anywhere from 25 to 30 pounds, um, which is great in terms of my mental wellness because I'm stable. But as far as my, self image sometimes, and as far as, feeling secure about myself, my mind wonders how much more weight am I going to put on. And so that's where the personal trainer came in. Um, I was really looking forward to, I was really looking forward to really increasing, the intensity of my workouts, to begin to shed the body fat that I have and to build muscle. But yesterday, I hurt my back. um, I strained muscles in my lower back and tendons in my lower back, and I could barely walk. I have times where I'm okay and I can sit up straight, and then there's other times where I feel like I can barely move, and that was really frustrating for me because and disappointing because my goal in fitness is really to be able to start doing weightlifting. I want to do weightlifting. And you can't do that if your back your back and your core is not ready and prepared for you to do that. And so that was a level of disappointment for me. That was just recent, as in yesterday. Another level of disappointment that I am experiencing is with my current position, my current job. I It is not a good fit for me. I do not enjoy it. And it is not what I anticipated. And so, there's a level of disappointment, and it's actually hindering me from accumulating the hours that I need to become a fully licensed therapist. And what that just means is being able to open up your own practice if you wanted to. But when I am hit with those things that happen, as life always does, and I begin to feel disappointed, there's certain go-to things that I always begin to do. One thing is what I'm doing now. I find and remember the things that I enjoy that will take me away from that moment. Stepping away from the moment does not mean that you are ignoring the problem or the issue. What it means is that you're giving yourself time to de-escalate. And so actually coming on YouTube and streaming and talking to everyone and sharing things that I've experienced or things that I learned is a way for me to de-escalate and step away from the things that are, that I view as disappointing right now. Another thing about that, and I say this over and over again, is that I remember the times where things didn't go my way, but then the next thing that happened in life was even better. And there's almost a level of understanding of, okay, I see why I needed to pause. So a perfect example of this right now is, I cannot work out with the level of intensity that I want to work out right now. However, this gives me a great opportunity to work on my diet. Because you heard the phrase, and if you haven't, they heard this, like, abs are made in the kitchen. And so this gives me a perfect opportunity to continue to work on what I'm putting into my body, how I'm staying hydrated, how I'm looking at how I'm caring for myself. Am I stretching in the morning time just to stretch, not necessarily to prepare for a workout, but just to give myself that mobility first thing in the morning. So these are some of the things in terms of, in terms of, me being temporarily injured, that I had been thinking of. So when you are disappointed in something, you can take a step back and look at it and say, is this an opportunity for me to work on something else? Another thing that it is important to be mindful of when you're experiencing disappointment is not to allow your mind to wander free. And what that means is sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, you want to sit down and not necessarily do anything, not watch anything, not read anything. That's really toxic for your mind, because what happens is that your mind begins to wander and it begins to ruminate on the negative things, and that is how negative self-talk enter in, and you want to avoid negative self-talk as much as possible. So you don't want to sit and allow your mind to be idle. If you're going to lay in the bed and you don't feel like you're you have that much energy for the day, then a great thing for you to do is listen to music that you're enjoying, that you can sing along with. Look at, read an ebook, get on your Kindle, whatever it is that, listen to an audio book, play a game on your phone. These are things if you're just in the bed. There's so many different things that you can do to keep your mind occupied. That is so important, keeping your mind occupied. And we had just talked about this, but another thing is the negative self-talk. The negative self-talk will or always attempts to creep in when you feel disappointed. It says, oh, you're not good enough for this. Oh, this isn't where you're supposed to be. And it can hit you really, really hard. I get disappointed a lot now that I am in my doctorate program. I question myself of, do I belong here, and do I have what it takes to be in a doctorate program? Because it's challenging for me, and it goes through that. You go through that imposter syndrome, right? So, but negative self-talk can talk you into the imposter syndrome. Negative self-talk will tell you, well, you didn't deserve that opportunity anyway. Negative self-talk will say, well, you weren't good enough for that anyway. The way that you overcome that is that you remind yourself, yes, I didn't get this particular opportunity, but that doesn't mean that I'm not, it doesn't mean that you're not capable or that you're incapable of either creating an opportunity for yourself or, being in a position where you're offered another opportunity. And so negative self-talk can be that thing that can prevent you, if you're not careful, from trying again. And this is the next thing I want to talk about, trying again. Woo! When certain things happen and you are hit in the chest with it, with that disappointment, and you didn't get the position that you wanted, you didn't get the raise that you wanted, you didn't get the recognition that you deserve, and it hits you in your chest, that is a whole nother level of feeling. Because sometimes when you experience that, you still have to function in an environment and still have to talk yourself into moving forward. So this is what you have to understand, and what I had to understand for myself. If I do not try again, there's not even an opportunity for me to be disappointed, because the other side of disappointment is excitement because you got the opportunity. So if we don't put our foot back in the water, we never have the opportunity. Someone had once said that if you're not waking up feeling nervous about your next step, then are you really challenging yourself? And when we're hit with moments of disappointment, sometimes we don't want to challenge ourselves anymore. We want to shrink back into that safe space where we know, in this box, it's like, in this box, I know that I'm respected here. In this box, I know that people appreciate me. In this box, I am valued. But in order to expand and move beyond the impact of disappointment, we have to step outside that box. There is no other way to overcome the level of disappointment that we feel sometimes than putting yourself back in the game. And that can be scary because nobody likes rejection. Nobody likes rejection. That can be scary. That can be challenging. That can be nerve-wracking. But you have to learn how to put yourself back in the game. Just last week, I had told myself in one day that I was quitting school. I didn't belong there with other students, that I was done. And I went through like 24 hours of that, and I had to push myself to finish an assignment. And at this point, I'm like, you know what? Even if I flunk out, then I will just have to flunk out, but I'm not going to stop trying. And sometimes that is the best that you have in that moment. And the final thing that I want to share is just know when to regroup. It's, sometimes you do have to, as we said, you have to have distractions, but sometimes you need to step away and regroup. Give yourself a long pause, give yourself a space to examine. Y'all know I love to say audit yourself, audit yourself, audit yourself. But give yourself time to examine what's going on, deal with how you're feeling concerning whatever had happened, and then, when you're ready, go back into it. But always know when you need to regroup and reevaluate. Because sometimes it's not necessarily that the opportunity wasn't meant for you. Sometimes it's that you have to be prepared in a certain way in order. Joshua, thank you. Joshua. Sometimes, sorry y'all, Joshua is barking at flies, I believe. But it's not that the opportunity wasn't meant for you. It's just that there's a level of preparation that you need to have so that when you get the opportunity that you don't miss it, and you're able to be successful with that opportunity. So sometimes it takes a moment to step back and regroup, reassess things, realign things, get things in the correct position, get yourself in the right mindset, and then you'll be able to move forward. So that's all I have tonight, everyone. Thank you for joining me. And you can visit laquanda.com for all of my podcast, Minding Your Purpose, as well as the blog. Check you out later. Bye.